You always have the choice to not have an opinion. Marcus Aurelius said that, and it's worth thinking about for a moment. How many times have your feelings of anger, sadness, or stress come from things you couldn't control? Maybe someone said something rude, maybe something didn't go your way, or maybe life just felt unfair for no reason. We often react right away. We yell, we shut down, or we let it eat us up inside. But according to the Stoics, none of those things can truly bother us unless we let them. Anger is one of the most harmful emotions there is. It doesn't only hurt the people around you, it burns you from the inside out. It clouds your thoughts, steals your calm, and makes you lose control. It turns you into a prisoner of what happens outside of you, and that's exactly what Stoicism warns us to avoid. To the Stoics, real power isn't about controlling other people, it's about controlling yourself. Epictetus said that what matters isn't what happens to you, but how you respond to it. That means no matter what people say or do, no matter what life throws your way, your peace of mind is always your choice to keep. You might feel anger or frustration rising inside you for a moment, but you get to choose whether it stays or passes like a cloud drifting by. So today I want to share 8 strong Stoic lessons that have helped me and many others escape the trap of anger. I'm not saying this will be simple, but I promise it's worth it. Stay with me all the way, because each idea connects to the next, and by the end you'll have a clear map to find calm inside yourself. And if any of this speaks to your heart, leave a comment that says, "My peace is stronger than any anger." I read them all, and I'd really like to hear what you think. Rule 1. Turn problems into teachers. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What blocks the way becomes the way." This is one of the strongest lessons in Stoic thinking. It means that problems are not your enemies, they are your teachers. Every insult, every moment of frustration, every disappointment is not a curse but a chance to grow. The trouble is, most people see challenges as personal attacks. Someone treats us badly, and we feel hurt. Something slows us down, and we feel cheated. Life changes direction, and we feel punished. But the Stoics reminded us that life never promised to be easy. The rough path itself, with all its twists and bumps, is what makes us stronger. Think about anger for a second. Why does it rise up? Because something didn't go your way. But if instead you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Your anger starts to fade. The problem turns into a lesson. The challenge becomes your practice. Seneca said that difficulties make the mind stronger, the same way exercise makes the body stronger. Muscles only grow when pushed against resistance, and your character only grows when it faces trials. If you never faced disrespect, how would you learn patience? If no one ever challenged you, how would you build resilience? If life never disappointed you, how would you learn acceptance? To use this mindset, start with 3 simple changes. First, ask the training question. When someone makes you angry, don't ask, "Why me?" Instead ask, "What skill is life helping me build right now?" Maybe it's patience, calm, or detachment. This turns frustration into practice. Second, flip the value of your problems. When things fall apart, instead of saying, "This ruins everything," say, "This is part of my training." Treat every challenge like a weight in the gym of life. Without it, you'd never grow stronger. Third, honor the lesson, not the pain. When something hurts, focus on what it's teaching you, not how it makes you feel. An insult may sting, but it trains endurance. A delay may annoy you, but it strengthens patience. Let's make this clearer. Imagine someone betrays your trust. You could lose yourself in anger, thinking only of what they did. Or you could take a step back and ask, what can I learn about trust, people, and resilience? That lesson becomes a shield that protects you from being destroyed by rage. Or picture losing an opportunity you worked hard for. Most people would sink into bitterness, but a Stoic would say, "This loss is my lesson in acceptance. It's preparing me for something greater." The obstacle doesn't break you, it builds you. Marcus Aurelius lived this truth every day. As emperor, he faced betrayal, war, sickness, and constant criticism. Yet instead of shouting at life's unfairness, he wrote to himself, "The obstacle on the path becomes the path." He used every hardship to strengthen his spirit. When you start seeing problems as teachers, something changes inside you. You stop being surprised when they appear. Instead of anger, you feel ready. Instead of bitterness, you feel wiser. Each trial makes you calmer, stronger, and harder to shake. Because the truth is, life will always throw challenges your way. People will disappoint you, plans will fail, situations will frustrate you. You can't stop that, but you can train how you respond. Meet each one not with fury, but with curiosity and courage. So the next time anger rises because life isn't going your way, stop and ask, what lesson is hiding here for me? Remind yourself, the obstacle is not my enemy, it is my teacher. This change in thinking won't just calm your temper, it will change how you see life itself. Suddenly nothing is wasted. Every trial becomes training. Every insult becomes a lesson. Every setback hides a strength waiting to grow. And when you see life this way, you stop resenting it. You start learning from it. You grow through it. You rise above your anger and move into wisdom. Say this to yourself and mean it. Every obstacle is my teacher, not my enemy. Rule 2. Hit the pause button. Viktor Frankl, though not a Stoic, shared a truth that fits perfectly with their teachings. He said, "Between what happens and how we respond, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose. And in that choice lies our growth and our freedom." This simple idea is the secret to never being controlled by anger again. Anger feeds on quick reactions. Someone says something rude and you snap back. Something goes wrong and you explode. Someone betrays you and you rush into fury. But if you can create even the tiniest gap between what happens and how you answer, anger loses its grip on you. The Stoics trained this ability like a muscle. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every day, "You have power over your mind, not over what happens outside it. Once you understand this, you'll find strength." That power begins the very moment you decide not to react right away. Let's make this real. Imagine someone insults you in front of everyone. Your first instinct is to fight back, to defend yourself, or to shut down completely. But what if right then you stopped for just 3 breaths? In those breaths, remind yourself, their words can't hurt me unless I let them. Suddenly, instead of sinking into anger, you stay calm and rise above it. Or imagine being stuck in traffic, already running late. The car ahead crawls forward and frustration bubbles up. Normally, you'd honk, sigh, or let the irritation ruin your mood. But if you pause, just long enough to take a deep breath and think, this is outside my control, but my peace is not, you turn chaos into stillness. That small pause isn't weakness, it's strength. It proves that you're not controlled by your impulses. You're the one in charge of them. Here's how to build that pause into your life. First, train your breathing. Each time you feel anger growing, take 3 slow breaths before doing or saying anything. Your breath becomes your anchor. It pulls you back to control. Second, use short mental reminders. Pick a phrase to repeat when emotions flare up, like, "This is only noise," or "My peace belongs to me." These small sentences act like a shield, creating a space between the trigger and your reaction. Third, delay your response. When someone upsets you, don't rush to reply to the text, the email, or the comment. Wait an hour, or even a full day. You'll be surprised how much smaller the problem feels when you return to it with a cool mind. Finally, practice tiny pauses every day. Don't wait for big fights to start training this. Pause when you spill your drink, when someone cuts you off, or when plans change suddenly. Each small pause builds your strength for the bigger storms. Seneca once said, "The best cure for anger is delay." Why? Because anger burns like fire. Feed it quickly, and it blazes out of control. But give it air and time, and it fades away on its own. The truth is, the world expects you to react, to shout when insulted, to slam doors when annoyed, to get revenge when betrayed. But when you stay calm instead, people notice. It shakes them, because they can't control someone who controls themselves. That's real power. Creating space isn't about avoiding problems, it's about keeping your dignity. It's saying, "I'm not an animal run by instincts. I'm a person who can think, choose, and stay steady." That choice is where true freedom begins. So next time life pushes your limits, don't ask, "How can I kill this anger right now?" Instead ask, "Can I pause long enough to let calmness return?" That single pause can protect your peace, your relationships, and even your health. Anger wants you to rush, but wisdom grows only through patience. Rule 3. drop it like it's hot. Seneca once said that anger, when not controlled, often hurts us more than the thing that made us angry in the first place. Most people don't just feel anger in the moment. They hold on to it. They replay the insult in their heads over and over. They feed the grudge, and they let bitterness sink deep into their hearts. But the Stoics saw this as a kind of self-punishment. The bad moment happened once, but by clinging to it, you make yourself suffer again and again. If you want to stop being ruled by anger, you have to learn how to let go. Not someday, but soon, before it poisons your peace. Think of anger as holding a burning coal. The longer you keep it in your hand, the deeper it burns your skin. Yet many of us keep gripping it, thinking it hurts the other person when really it only burns us. Marcus Aurelius said something wise. The best revenge is not to become like the one who hurt you. When you hold on to anger, you copy the same behavior that harmed you. But when you let go, you rise above it, you protect your mind, and you keep your dignity clean. So how can we learn to release anger faster? First, name the weight. Admit to yourself, I'm holding anger. Many times we cover it up by calling it justice or fairness, but being honest with yourself sets you free. Once you recognize it, you can choose to put it down. Then, refuse the second wound. The Stoics said the first wound is what someone does to you. The second is what you do to yourself by staying upset. Ask yourself, why should I keep suffering for something that already passed? Don't let the second wound grow. Drop it before it spreads. Next, focus on action. If there's something you can fix, do it. If not, accept it and move forward. Anger wastes your strength. Turning that energy into something useful changes pain into power. Practice releasing it in your mind. Picture the anger as a heavy rock in your hand. See yourself opening your palm and letting it fall to the ground. Even a simple picture like that helps your heart loosen its grip. Seneca also said that anger, when kept inside, is like poison. The longer it stays, the more it spreads, making your mind cloudy, hurting your friendships, and stealing your peace. That's why learning to let go quickly isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Imagine this. You argue with someone and say harsh things. Later that night, they're sleeping peacefully, but you're still awake, replaying every word, wishing you'd said something different. Who suffers more? Not them. You do. Holding on to anger is choosing to suffer for what someone else did. But what if you just let it go? You tell yourself, it's done, it's over, I won't replay it again. Suddenly you feel lighter. You can breathe again. Your mind clears, and you come back to the present moment, where calm always waits for you. The Stoics knew life was too short to waste being angry. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that thought guide what you do, say, and think. If today were your last day, would you spend it replaying an insult or holding on to hate? Or would you rather release it and live with peace? Letting go fast isn't just about feeling calm. It's about being free. It means you're no longer trapped by someone else's actions. They might hurt you once, but you don't have to let them hurt you again in your mind. So next time anger rises, ask yourself, do I want to hold this burning coal, or will I drop it now? Remember, the sooner you release it, the lighter and freer your heart becomes. Rule 4. Expect people to be, well, people. Marcus Aurelius began his morning writings by reminding himself, the people I meet today will be nosy, ungrateful, proud, dishonest, jealous, and unfriendly. He said this not because he was bitter, but because he understood something very wise. People act this way because they don't truly understand what is right or wrong. Now think about it. Why would the most powerful man in the world, the Emperor of Rome, start his day by thinking about people's flaws? Because he knew something most of us forget. If you expect everyone to be perfect, you'll live angry and disappointed. The truth is, people lie, people break promises, and people can be selfish or even cruel. If you expect everyone to always do the right thing, every small mistake will hurt you deeply. But when you accept that people are imperfect, their behavior stops surprising you. Instead of reacting with fury, you can react with patience. When a child spills juice or breaks something, do you lose your mind? Probably not. You expect children to make mistakes, so you stay calm and help them learn. But when grown-ups mess up, we forget this simple truth. We assume that adults should always know better. and when they don't, we let anger take over. Stoicism flips that idea completely. Expect flaws, and their power to upset you disappears. Seneca also said, "It is far better to heal than to seek revenge." When you try to get even, you waste energy and make yourself no better than those who hurt you. What he meant is this: when people show you their rudeness, their pride, or their hatred, it's not your job to join their chaos. Your real task is to stay whole and calm inside yourself. Here's how to live this wisdom every day. Start with morning preparation. Before you step out of your home, remind yourself, today I will meet people who may be rude, unfair, or selfish, but none of that will steal my peace. That small thought shields your mind so you're never shocked when people act imperfectly. See ignorance instead of evil. When someone insults you, remember Marcus's words. They act like this because they don't truly understand what's good or bad. They are not wise yet. And if that's true, why be angry at someone who doesn't know better? Lower your expectations. If you expect people to never disappoint you, you're living in a dream world. But when you accept that humans make mistakes, you stop taking everything so personally. A broken promise or a harsh word doesn't crush you anymore. It just reminds you that people are still learning, just like you. Grow your compassion. Once you see that flaws are part of being human, your heart opens. Compassion doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means not letting their bad choices poison your peace. You can correct, you can walk away, you can set boundaries, but you do it calmly, without hate, without losing yourself. Think of a busy marketplace. People bump into you, talk too loud, maybe even cut in line. Do you scream at every one of them? No. You understand if that's what crowds are like. Life is no different. When you stop expecting perfection, you stop being endlessly upset. True peace doesn't come from changing people. It comes from changing your expectations. You can't control how others act, but you can control how you prepare your heart. And preparation changes everything. So next time someone acts rudely or selfishly, instead of boiling inside, remind yourself, I knew this would happen. I expected this. Their weakness is not my storm. People will keep being imperfect as long as you live. If you wait for a world where no one annoys you, you'll stay miserable forever. But if you accept people as they are, full of flaws, nothing can shake your calm. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you solid as stone. Real strength isn't about yelling when someone hurts you. It's about staying calm, steady, and unbroken. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Expecting flaws was his way of freeing himself from anger. You can do it too. Say this out loud. I expect flaws, but I choose peace. And if you're enjoying the content, consider becoming a channel member. Besides helping the channel, you'll also get exclusive content. Click the link in the description and become a member now. Back to content. Rule 5. Master the voice in your head. Epictetus once said, people are not upset by what happens, but by the opinions they have about what happens. This is one of the deepest lessons from Stoicism. The little voice in your head, the one that comments, judges, and tells stories, is what decides whether you stay calm or explode with anger. It's not the rude comment itself that hurts you, it's the way you keep replaying it over and over. It's not the tough situation that wears you out, it's the story you build around it. This is unfair. Why does this always happen to me? Or, why can't people just treat me right? The Stoics understood something simple. We don't suffer because of reality itself, but because of how we describe reality to ourselves. And if you want to stop feeling angry or upset all the time, you need to train the way you talk inside your own mind. Imagine this. A stranger says something mean in a language you don't understand. Do you get mad? Of course not. The words never even entered your thoughts. But if that same insult is spoken in your own language, your mind grabs it, repeats it, and keeps stabbing you with it again and again. The problem isn't the words, it's your mind's reaction to them. So how do you teach your thoughts to stop turning against you? The Stoics gave us 3 strong methods to do it. First, catch the first thought. When anger starts rising, it often begins with something small like, they disrespected me, or I can't take this anymore. The moment that thought appears, catch it fast. Don't let it turn into a full-blown story. Remind yourself, this is just my opinion, not the truth. When you stop the thought early, it loses its power before it takes over your mood. Second, replace it. Don't repeat it. If your mind keeps saying, "I can't believe they did that to me," your anger will only grow stronger. Instead, change the line. Tell yourself, "They're acting according to their own nature, not mine." Or, "I control my reaction. That's my real power." By replacing your thoughts with wiser ones, you break the endless loop of rage. Third, speak to yourself like a guide, not like an enemy. Many people talk to themselves harshly, blaming and scolding their own mind. But you should speak to yourself as a calm, wise teacher would. Ask, "Will this anger help me in any way? Or would it be better to let it go?" Lead your thoughts like you would lead a close friend, with patience, not punishment. Seneca warned that we suffer more from our imagination than from real life, and imagination speaks through that inner voice. If you don't control it, it will betray you, but once you do, you can handle insults, betrayal, and hardship without losing control of who you are. Here's a simple practice. Every evening, look back on your day and ask yourself, where did my inner voice turn against me today? Did you make a small event seem bigger in your head? Then rewrite that story. Train your mind to think differently tomorrow. Another helpful tool is journaling. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his thoughts to become famous. He wrote them to remind himself of Stoic lessons and to train his own thinking. You can do the same. When anger stays with you, write about it. Then ask, what judgment did I add that made this worse? Replace it with a calmer truth, because in the end your mind is like a stage. If you keep letting angry scripts play, anger will run the whole show. But if you rewrite the script with reason and calmness, there's no space left for rage to perform. The next time you feel anger bubbling inside, stop and ask, what am I saying to myself right now? You'll notice it's not the world, not the person, not the event. It's your own inner story feeding the fire. And once you see that clearly, the fire starts to fade. When you take charge of your inner voice, you take charge of your peace. Nothing outside you can disturb you unless your own mind allows it. That's why Epictetus said, "You may chain my leg, but not even Zeus himself can control my will." Real freedom begins with the voice you choose to listen to inside your head. Make it a Stoic voice, steady, calm, and free. Rule 6. Separate what happened from what you think it means. Seneca once said, "We are scared more often than we are truly hurt, and we suffer more in our thoughts than in real life." The same thing happens with anger. What makes you upset isn't usually what happened, it's the story you tell yourself about it. Think about this. Someone suddenly cuts in front of you while you're driving. What do you think right away? Maybe, "How dare they disrespect me? They almost made me crash. People are so rude." But what if you change the story? Maybe they're hurrying to the hospital. Maybe they didn't even notice you. Or maybe they're just being careless. But even if that's true, why should their carelessness destroy your peace? The Stoics taught that nothing that happens is truly good or bad by itself. It's the way we judge it that gives it meaning. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, if something outside of you bothers you, it's not that thing causing your pain. It's how you see it. And you can change that view at any time. That idea is incredibly powerful. It means that whenever anger starts to rise inside you, you can stop and ask yourself, am I upset because of what happened or because of the story I built around it? Just asking that can shift the entire course of your day. Here's how to practice it. First, pause before reacting. When something annoys you, make yourself take 3 deep breaths before saying or doing anything. Those few seconds give you the power back. Then, change how you see the situation. Instead of thinking, "This is so unfair to me," try asking, "What if this isn't even about me?" Step back from the story your mind is creating. Remind yourself that the event is neutral. It's your opinion that adds the drama. Once you learn to separate what happens from what you think about it, you gain the freedom to choose peace over anger. You stop being ruled by other people's behavior and start living as the ruler of your own mind. Don't forget, anger doesn't hurt the person who upset you, it hurts you. It takes away your calm, your focus, and your happiness. So why give anyone that much power over your mind? Picture yourself as a tall, steady tree during a storm. The wind can blow and the rain can fall, but your roots keep you strong. The storm will pass, but your calm will stay. Say this with me. No one controls my peace but me. Rule 7. Don't take their stuff personally. Epictetus taught something powerful. If someone talks badly about you, remember they do it because they think it's right. It's not their words that hurt you, it's how you decide to see them. This idea is important if you want to be free from anger. Most of the time we get mad when people insult or criticize us because we take their words as truth. We let their voices stab into our hearts like arrows. But here's the real thing to remember. Insults are almost never about you. They come from what's happening inside the person saying them. Think of it like this. When someone is full of bitterness, bitterness comes out. When someone feels insecure, they try to make others feel the same. When someone is angry at life, they throw that anger at anyone nearby. Once you understand this, their words stop feeling like knives and start looking like mirrors. Mirrors that show their pain, not your value. Seneca once said that someone who suffers before it's needed suffers more than necessary. When someone insults you, you get hurt twice. Once when they say it, and again when you keep replaying it in your head. But what if you simply didn't replay it? What if you said to yourself, this is just their noise, not my truth? You can train your mind to do this every day. Change the meaning of insults. Instead of thinking, they hurt me, start thinking, they showed who they are. Their words reveal their own unhappiness or lack of control, not who you are. Practice staying calm. Marcus Aurelius often told himself, choose not to be harmed and you won't be. If you decide you're not hurt, then you aren't. When someone insults you, you can choose not to take it in. Their words only live if you give them space in your mind. Don't let your worth depend on what others think. Imagine holding a diamond. If someone calls it trash, does it stop shining? Of course not. Your value doesn't change because of another person's opinion. Their words are just noise passing through air. Try responding with silence. Silence is not weakness. It's real power. When you don't react, you show that you're above the storm. The person who tried to hurt you will feel uneasy, but most importantly, you'll keep your peace. It's true that words can sting. When someone mocks you, spreads lies, or tries to embarrass you, it's natural to want to fight back. But remember, their words say much more about who they are than about you. And if you hold on to their poison, you let them win twice, first when they spoke, and again when you lose your calm. Think of it like someone handing you a burning coal. If you grab it, you get burned. But if you let it fall, it can't hurt you. Insults are like that. They only burn if you hold on. Marcus Aurelius gave himself this advice. When someone blames or criticizes you, look deeper into their heart and see what kind of person they are. You'll realize there's no reason to be upset that someone like that has an opinion about you. That's deep wisdom. Instead of asking, why did they insult me, you ask, what must their soul be like to do that? You'll soon see it's their weakness showing, not yours. So the next time someone throws words meant to hurt you, stand tall and silent. Remind yourself, this doesn't belong to me. Walk away calmly, letting their words return to their own troubled heart. The truth is, when you stop taking insults personally, no one can touch you. People might yell, mock, or criticize, but their words can't trap you unless you choose to wear the chains. The wise person doesn't waste energy fighting shadows. They keep walking forward, peaceful and free. But there's something important to understand. If you've been trying for a long time to step out of your comfort zone and learn more, but haven't been able to, there might be something you're not aware of. I know what it might be. Anxiety. Anxiety is like a snake that creeps up silently and affects you without you even realizing it. It leaves you feeling unwell for days, months, and even years. Living like this is like being sick all the time. But I know a solution. Stoic philosophers, along with modern psychology, have a way to help you get rid of it. I managed to cure myself of this anxiety. I made a video explaining how you can get rid of this problem, and it's in the first comment. Click the link in the first comment and start healing yourself from this feeling of anxiety. Rule 8. Choose peace as the default response, not anger. Anger appears quickly, like a fire ignited with a touch. And for many years we have been conditioned to believe that reacting intensely is a sign of strength, that raising our voice is affirmation, that hardening ourselves is protection, that responding immediately is courage. But in reality, all of this is just impulsivity. It is the body trying to deal with the emotion without the consciousness having had time to enter. It is the ego trying to prove its worth. It is the mind trying to escape. The feeling of vulnerability that arises when something hurts us. And it is precisely this haste that distances us from peace, from clarity, and from real strength that is not noisy, not reactive, does not need to win to exist. It simply remains, stable, silent, whole. The Stoics understood peace not as the absence of external conflict, but as an internal state that does not depend on circumstances, an inner space that no one can touch unless you allow it. And that is why Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "No one can disturb your peace unless you surrender your mind to the disturbance." This phrase is as profound as it is simple, because it reveals that peace is a choice that needs to be made not only in quiet moments, but especially in moments when everything inside you wants to react, respond, attack. Choosing peace doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean accepting injustice. It doesn't mean letting others walk all over you. It simply means that your posture will not be guided by anger, that your actions will not stem from a lack of control, that your voice will not come from a wounded place but from a conscious, firm and secure place. Because peace is not empty neutrality, peace is directed strength. It is stable presence. It is emotional maturity expressed in gesture, word and gaze. When someone provokes you, peace says, "I can choose how to respond." When someone raises their voice, peace says, "I'm not obligated to keep up with this pace." When something doesn't go as you expected, peace says, "I can get through this without destroying myself." Epictetus reminded his students that no one can take away our calmness. We give it away when we react without thinking, when we believe we need to respond immediately to regain control. But real control is never external. It always begins with the internal decision to remain within oneself, not to lose oneself, not to let the world decide one's emotional state. To make peace the default response, you need to practice in small situations, because it's the little irritations that train the muscle of presence, the annoying delay, the poorly worded comment, the long queue, the interrupting noise, the unexpected event that changes your plan. Each of these small moments is an opportunity to say internally, "I can choose to be at peace now." And it is precisely this repetition that builds the habit. Over time, something profound happens. Anger loses momentum. It no longer dominates the body so quickly. It no longer occupies the mind so easily. It no longer feels like the only possible response, because there is now a space between the stimulus and the action. And in that space, peace enters, like turning on a light in a dark room. And suddenly you realize that the anger was not necessary, that it was not the solution, that it did not represent your true strength. Peace is paradoxically the highest form of power, because it doesn't depend on anything external to exist, and when you choose peace as your standard, you cease to be manipulable, you cease to be predictable, you cease to be someone that others can control just by pressing the right buttons. You become unshakable, not because nothing affects you, but because nothing drags you down. So when you feel anger forming, tell yourself, as a reminder of your identity, not as an effort, "I don't need to respond with fire, I can respond with clarity. I can choose peace." And observe how, little by little, this silent choice transforms into your natural way of being. Rule 9. Observe your emotions as a spectator, not as a participant. Epictetus used to say that the human mind has the power to observe itself, as if there were two levels of consciousness within us, one that feels and another that observes what we feel. And it is precisely this second level that defines the quality of our emotional life. Because when you are merely a participant, you are swept away by anger, irritation, pride, and the narratives that automatically arise in the mind. But when you position yourself as an observer, you create an inner space where you can see anger born, grow, and eventually disappear without needing to follow it, defend it, or act through it. And this space is where freedom resides. Most people live completely identified with what they feel, as if each emotion were an absolute truth that demands an immediate response. But the Stoics realized that emotions are like waves. They rise, move, and recede without you needing to fight them or obey them. And when you become the spectator, you stop being pushed by the movement of the wave and become like someone sitting on the beach, just watching the sea move, knowing that no moment is permanent and that all emotional force is fleeting. Imagine someone says something offensive, something that touches your pride or your sensitivity. Usually the first impulse is to respond, explain, justify, or attack back. However, before acting, there's a very brief moment when you feel the emotion rising, like a warmth, a tightness in your chest, a racing thought. And that's where the practice begins. It's in that small instant that you can say to yourself internally, "I'm noticing the anger rising." And that simple phrase changes everything because it puts you in the position of observer, not victim of the impulse. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "Your mind takes the form of what you dwell on." When you fully identify with your emotion, it takes control of your body, your voice, and your decisions. But when you observe it, it loses power, becomes something you are seeing and not something you are. And that is the beginning of true emotional freedom. The kind of freedom that doesn't depend on external circumstances, nor on another person acting the way you would like. To practice this in your daily life, you can use a simple exercise. Whenever you feel an intense emotion, instead of saying, "I am angry," say, "Anger is rising within me." Instead of, "I am irritated," say, "Irritation is going through my mind right now." Instead of, "I am being attacked," say, "There is a feeling of attack happening within me." Because this change in language distances the emotion from your identity, and when the emotion doesn't define who you are, it loses the power to control your actions. Seneca said that the wise person is not the one who doesn't feel emotions, but the one who doesn't become a slave to them. And this practice of observing emotion as if it was something external allows precisely that, continuing to feel, but without losing control of one's own direction. And when you control the direction, no one else can provoke you, no one else can take away your peace, no one else can take from you what is most valuable, your inner clarity. So the next time anger rises, don't try to expel it, nor repress it, nor justify it, just observe it, like someone watching a cloud form in the sky, knowing that it is not permanent, knowing that it is not you, knowing that it will pass, because anger is not a command. It is just a movement, and you have the power to choose whether to follow it or simply let it pass, like the wind through an open window, without encountering any resistance. Say to yourself, silently, "I observe. I don't get confused by what I feel. The emotion passes, I remain." Rule 10. Remember impermanence. Everything passes, including anger. The Stoics understood something we almost always forget in moments of emotional intensity. Everything we feel is temporary. Each emotion arises, reaches a peak, and then disappears, just like a wave that forms, rises, and inevitably dissipates. And when we recognize this transient nature of anger, it ceases to seem like something absolute, something that demands an immediate response or impulsive action, because we begin to see it as a phenomenon that is merely passing through our inner field, and not as an eternal truth about ourselves or about the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, as a daily reminder, "Watch how everything dissolves and disappears." He repeated this idea not out of pessimism, but out of wisdom, because by remembering impermanence he avoided clinging to strong emotions, offensive comments, or situations that seemed too urgent, understanding that everything, even the most intense pain, becomes smaller with time, and that time is one of the greatest healers of the human soul. Anger, when it arises, tries to convince you that it's permanent, that the problem is enormous, that something unforgivable has happened, that the situation will never change. But this is just an illusion created by the heat of the moment, a distortion of the mind influenced by the immediate impact of the emotion. And when you believe this narrative, you become a slave to it, responding quickly, speaking without thinking, attacking without reflecting. And then, when the wave naturally passes, regret appears, like an echo showing that the anger was never as great as it seemed, and that if you had waited a few minutes, everything would have been different. That's why remembering impermanence is an exercise in liberation. It's not about denying what you feel, but about giving perspective to what you feel. It's about saying to yourself, calmly, "What I'm feeling now will diminish. It will dissolve. It will lose strength." And when that awareness enters, the immediate reaction loses its meaning. You don't need to solve everything in the heat of the moment. You don't need to respond now, you don't need to prove anything, because you know that soon the inner turmoil will be different, lighter, clearer, more capable of making wise choices. Seneca said that anger is a short fire because it burns brightly at the beginning, but it doesn't last if you don't feed it. What fuels anger is continuous attention, the mental repetition of the story, the desire to retaliate. But when you simply observe and remember that it will pass, it loses fuel, it weakens, it dissolves like smoke in the air. Practicing this rule in daily life can be as simple as creating a short anchor phrase to repeat when anger starts to rise. Something like, "I can wait. I don't need to react now. This too shall pass. My peace lasts longer than my anger." These phrases are not self-deception. They are a way of reminding the mind of what the body forgets when emotion takes over. They are reminders that time always rebalances what momentary intensity has distorted, and that what seems enormous now will be small tomorrow, and what seems urgent now may not even need an answer when the sun rises again. So when you feel anger rising, remember that it's like a quick, intense, noisy but brief storm, and that you are more like the sky than the storm, because the sky remains while the clouds come and go. The sky doesn't fight the wind or try to hold back the rain. It just remains open, silent, aware, knowing that everything passes and that nothing needs to be resolved in the middle of the storm. Say to yourself calmly and firmly, "I am not anger. I am the space where anger passes through." And it will pass. Rule 11. Practice intellectual humility. You can be wrong too. One of the deepest roots of anger is the rigid certainty that we are right and that the other person is wrong. Because when we believe that our view is the only true one, any disagreement seems like a personal attack. Any criticism seems like a threat. Any correction seems like an attempt to diminish us. And it is precisely this identification with one's own opinion that creates the need to defend our ideas as if we were defending our own existence. But the truth is that our opinions are only interpretations built from our experiences, beliefs, memories, and limitations, and not absolute representations of reality. And when we forget this, anger becomes automatic. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the most powerful empire in the world, said to himself every day, "If anyone can show me that I am wrong, I will change without hesitation, for I seek the truth, not victory." This sentence reveals something essential. Wisdom lies not in always being right, but in always being open to learning. Because those who need to prove they are right live in a permanent state of defensiveness, tension, and conflict, while those who accept that they may be wrong remain open to understanding, adjusting, evolving, and becoming better. When you practice intellectual humility, you're not saying your opinion is worthless or that your perspective doesn't matter. What you're saying is, my thinking is something I can revise, and that is strength, not weakness. Because rigidity is a sign of fragility, while flexibility is a sign of maturity and inner strength. A rigid tree breaks in a storm, while a tree that bends remains standing. Anger arises precisely when we confuse our beliefs with our identity, which means that if someone questions our beliefs, we feel as if they are questioning who we are, and instead of listening, attacking, reflecting, or asking, we react aggressively. But if we recognize that a belief is just a temporary idea that we can modify, then criticism ceases to be an attack and becomes an opportunity, and conflict ceases to be an offense and becomes a learning experience. Epictetus reminded his students that no one sees reality as it is, but only as they are able to see it at that moment, and that therefore another person's opinion is not an attack, but merely a reflection of how they interpret the world. And when we understand this deeply, the need to defend our point dissolves because we understand that we are all trying to understand. We are all learning, we are all groping in the dark at certain times, and so the conversation becomes lighter, and the heart too. To practice this rule in your daily life, start with a simple gesture. When someone disagrees with you, instead of trying to immediately prove you're right, say to yourself, "It's possible I'm not seeing everything." This phrase doesn't diminish you, it expands you because it opens up mental space, reduces defensive anxiety, and creates a listening posture. And when we listen without the fear of being wrong, the conversation ceases to be a battle and becomes an encounter. You can also ask questions instead of making statements. How did you come to that conclusion? What makes you think that way? Which part of my reasoning do you consider incomplete? These questions shift the conversation from the realm of dispute to the realm of understanding. And when understanding enters, anger no longer finds a foothold, because anger needs opposition to exist. But dissolved dialogue offers no opposition, it offers clarity. Intellectual humility, therefore, is not submission, it is not diminishment, it is not yielding. It is the courage to remember that our mind is a house constantly under renovation, and the more open it is, the more airy, bright, and habitable it becomes, both for us and for others. Tell yourself when you feel the urge to angrily defend your view, I want the truth, not victory, and see how the world instantly changes within you. Rule 12. Respond purposefully, not impulsively. Anger pushes us to react quickly. It creates a sense of urgency, as if something terrible will happen if we don't say something immediately. But this urgency is illusory. It's just the body reacting to internal discomfort, the ego trying to protect itself, the mind trying to regain a sense of control. However, responding from this impulsive place almost always leads to regret, because impulse speaks to hurt, to win, to defend oneself, while purpose speaks to build, to maintain direction, to protect what truly matters. That's why learning to respond only when the mind is conscious is one of the central practices of Stoic self-control. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, when the emotion arises, wait before acting. He knew that an action taken in the heat of emotion is an action taken due to a temporary state, not our true character. And what defines who we are is not what we feel, but how we choose to act after feeling. Because feeling is natural, it's human, it's inevitable. But acting is a decision. It's responsibility. It's maturity. When someone says something that provokes you, or when a situation awakens frustration, irritation, or indignation, there is a small space between the stimulus and the response, and it is in this space that your power resides. Because if you respond immediately, you are being driven by emotion. But if you wait, observe, breathe, and decide, then you are the one leading the situation, and that difference is enormous, because the first path makes you a slave, and the second makes you free. Responding purposefully means asking yourself before speaking, what is the outcome I want to achieve here? Not, what do I want to prove? Not, how can I win this argument? Not, how can I show that I'm right? But rather, what kind of person do I want to be in this conversation? And that question changes everything, because it takes you out of automatic reaction and returns you to your center, to your inner axis, to your place of conscious choice. Epictetus said that we shouldn't worry about what the other person does, but only about how we respond to what the other person does, because that's all that's under our control. If the response stems from purpose, the conversation gains direction, stability, and clarity, whereas if the response stems from impulse, the conversation becomes a battle. The mind closes, the heart hardens, and peace is lost. To practice this rule in your daily life, try the following exercise. When you feel the urge to respond immediately, instead of speaking, take 3 deep breaths, and during those 3 breaths, ask yourself, what matters more to me, being right or being at peace? This question is simple but profoundly transformative because it exposes the internal dynamic between ego and consciousness, between reaction and intention, between impulse and purpose. Most of the time when the anger passes, we realize that what we wanted to say wasn't what truly represented who we are. It was just the wounded part, trying to protect itself. And when we respond that way, we create more conflict, more pain, more distance. But when we respond with purpose, we create connection, respect, and clarity, even if the conversation is difficult, even if the other person isn't ready to listen, because responding with purpose isn't about controlling the other person, it's about not losing yourself. Seneca said that a wise person does not react to the world as an animal reacts to stimuli, but responds as someone who knows their own worth, and that is what this rule calls us to practice. Act according to who you are, not according to how you feel at the moment. Because feelings change, they are like waves, they pass, but our actions leave marks, they build or destroy, they elevate or degrade. So the next time the impulse calls for haste, Choose the pause, choose the breath, choose the purpose, and say to yourself silently, firmly, and calmly, I respond from my strength, not from my wounds. Rule 13. Use your body to calm your mind. Slow breathing and stable posture. The Stoics understood something that neuroscience now clearly confirms. The body directly influences the state of mind, and often what we call anger, anxiety, or loss of control is not just a wrong thought, but a physiological reaction that begins first in the body, such as an increased heart rate, shortness of breath, tension in the shoulders, a clenched jaw, small but powerful signals that warn us that we are about to react impulsively. If we don't notice these signals, the emotion takes over and guides our actions without us having truly chosen to act that way. Therefore, learning to calm the body is, in practice, learning to calm the mind. Marcus Aurelius used to say to himself, return to your body, breathe, remain still. He knew that the agitated mind reorganizes itself when the body finds stability, because the body sends signals to the brain about how to interpret the moment, and if the body is tense, the brain interprets threat. If the body relaxes, the brain understands safety. And the anger, which seemed urgent and uncontrollable, weakens like a fire without fuel. Breathing is the simplest and most powerful key to this process, because breathing is the only system that can be both automatic and voluntary, and that is precisely why it is the bridge between the emotional and the rational, between the body and consciousness, between impulse and intention. When you breathe slowly and deeply, especially prolonging the exhalation, you send the nervous system the signal that there is no danger, that you can relax, that you don't need to attack, defend, or prove anything, and it is at that moment that you regain control over yourself. Whenever you feel anger rising, practice this. Inhale slowly through your nose, counting to 4. Hold your breath for 2 seconds, and then exhale through your mouth, counting to 6, repeating this cycle 3 or 4 times, without rushing, without effort, just allowing your body to slow down, because it is precisely this prolonged exhalation that activates the internal calming system, the same system that lights up when you feel safe, loved, or at peace. And when that happens, the mind finds space to think before reacting. Posture is also an essential element, because the body communicates with the mind all the time, and when you close your body, tense shoulders, retracted chest, curved spine, you create a feeling of attack, of defense, of threat, while when you sit or stand with your spine straight, chest open and chin aligned, you signal presence, stability, quiet strength, and this simple adjustment changes the entire internal emotional chemistry, because the body stops positioning itself as someone who is being attacked and starts positioning itself as someone who is conscious and whole. Epictetus taught his students to perceive when the body was about to react before the mind perceived it, because he knew that whoever controls the body controls the mind, and whoever controls the mind controls life. And this practice is not an exercise in coldness, but an exercise in freedom, because it is not about not feeling, but about not being carried away by feeling. It is about feeling while remaining present, conscious, stable. To apply this to everyday life, simply remember 2 small questions whenever anger arises. How is my breathing? How is my posture? If your breathing is shallow, stretch it. If the body is curled up, open it. If your face is tense, relax your jaw. If your shoulders are stiff, relax. These are small gestures, but their effects are profound, because each one of them tells the nervous system, I am here. I am in charge. I can choose. Ultimately, using the body to calm the mind is a reminder that peace doesn't begin in thought. It begins in presence, in how we inhabit ourselves. And when the body finds balance, the mind follows the same path naturally, effortlessly, without struggle, without violence against itself. Say to yourself gently, as if returning to your center, I breathe, I remain, I am conscious. The anger passes. I stay. Rule 14. Return to what is under your control, always. The Stoics said that the root of all emotional suffering lies in trying to control what was never in our hands, because when we expect others to act as we want, when we demand that the world follow our plans, when we believe that something external needs to be different so that we can be at peace. We are surrendering our tranquility to chance, to the behavior of others, to the unpredictable circumstances of life, and it is this blind surrender that creates anger, frustration, and despair. But when we turn our attention only to what we can truly choose, our actions, our words, our inner posture, we immediately recover a kind of power that is solid, silent, and unshakable. Epictetus taught his students from day one, "Some things depend on you, others don't." If you learn to distinguish one from the other, you will never be enslaved by anguish. And although this phrase seems simple, it contains one of the deepest keys to freedom, because the human mind is trained to worry about what it doesn't control, what people think of us, how they will treat us, how they will react, what they will say, who will stay, who will leave. And by doing so, we become emotionally vulnerable, exposed, fragile, because any external change becomes a threat to our internal balance. When you feel anger, it almost always stems from the clash between what you wanted to happen and what actually happened. It's the friction between expectation and reality. This friction hurts because you're fighting against something that can't be changed at that moment, and the more you fight, the more you hurt yourself. The more worn down you become, the more you lose yourself. Whereas when you simply return to what is within your control, the emotional energy that was trapped in resentment transforms into clarity, direction, and calm. For example, you can't control how someone speaks to you, but you can control how they respond. You can't control whether someone understands you, but you can control how they express themselves. You can't control whether someone acts maturely, but you can control your own composure. You can't control whether a person respects you, but you can control how they protect your dignity. You can't control the storm, but you can become its shelter. Marcus Aurelius, in his most intimate writings, repeated to himself, "You only have power over your mind, not over events. When you understand this deeply, you will find strength." And this force is not explosive. It is not aggressive. It is not based on winning arguments or proving a point. It is a silent force, like a rock at the bottom of the sea, which remains motionless even when huge waves crash on the surface, because the rock is not trying to control the movement of the sea. It simply remains where it is strong. To practice this rule daily, do the following whenever you feel irritation or anger rising. Stop and ask yourself with complete honesty, is this under my control? If the answer is no, let go, accept, allow, let it pass like someone watching a cloud crossing the sky, without trying to push it or hold it back, because holding on to what cannot be held back is an effort that tires the soul. If the answer is so act, but act consciously, calmly, purposefully, because action without awareness is reactivity, and action with awareness is maturity. Seneca said that much of what we call a problem is not the problem itself, but the habit of trying to control it from the outside, when the real solution was to reorganize our internal posture towards it, and this reorganization begins with a simple phrase, repeated as a return to firm ground. This is mine. This is not mine. Returning to what is under your control is fundamentally returning home to the center, to the place where you are whole, where no one can take you away, where nothing external can disrupt your peace, where you are free. Tell yourself, in a quiet but unbreakable voice, I choose what I think, I choose what I feel, I choose how I respond. The rest, I let pass. Rule 15. Turn frustrations into behaviors you can improve. Frustration is one of the most difficult emotions to deal with because it arises precisely at the point where desire meets reality, where what we wanted to happen doesn't, where life shows us that it's not following the script we imagined. It is in this space of friction that anger is born, an anger that can be directed outward in the form of complaints, outbursts, demands, or accusations, or it can be directed inward in the form of discouragement, self-criticism, and a feeling of powerlessness. But what the Stoics discovered is that frustration, when observed clearly, is a precise sign, almost a map, indicating where there is something we can strengthen, adjust, learn, or improve within ourselves, because each frustration points to a skill that we have not yet fully mastered. Marcus Aurelius used to write to himself, when you get annoyed by something, examine not the thing itself, but your ability to deal with it. He knew that frustration is not a judgment about the world, but an indicator of our inner state, showing where our tolerance, our patience, our flexibility, our communication, or our vision needs to mature. And when we understand this, frustration ceases to be a poison and becomes a teacher. Most people respond to frustration by wanting the world to change, people to change, results to change, the situation to be different. But this approach is useless because it addresses what is not under our control and therefore only increases suffering. The Stoic approach is very different. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" we ask, "What is this situation showing me about myself?" And this change of question changes everything, because it takes us out of the role of victim and puts us in the role of agent, of practitioner, of someone who is training themselves in the art of living. Epictetus said that life is like a school, and that each difficult event is an exercise sent precisely to strengthen the area where we are still weak, not as punishment, but as training. When we begin to see frustration in this way, it stops crushing us and starts building us up, because now we use its energy to develop something concrete. If frustration stems from impatience, it indicates that it's time to practice patience. If it stems from difficulty in communicating, it points to what we need to learn to say calmly. If it stems from the feeling of being ignored, it calls upon us to firmly assert our boundaries. If it stems from frustrated expectations, it teaches one to adjust desire to present reality. In other words, frustration shows where the inner work needs to happen. To put this understanding into practice, do this simple exercise whenever you feel frustrated. Name the emotion. There is frustration here. Ask yourself, what exactly was I expecting? Consider whether that expectation was within your control. Identify the skill that this situation is asking you to develop. Choose one small, consistent action that strengthens this skill in your daily life. For example, if frustration arises because someone interrupts you, instead of reacting with anger, you can practice calmly saying, "I haven't finished speaking yet. Please wait a moment." If frustration arises because something took longer than you wanted, instead of exploding, you can practice breathing and adjusting your pace. If the frustration stems from a mistake you made, instead of blaming yourself, you can transform that mistake into a protocol, creating a way to avoid repeating it. Seneca said that life doesn't weaken us, it reveals where we are still fragile, and it is this revelation that gives us the chance to grow consciously. When you transform frustration into improved behavior, you stop wasting energy trying to change the world and begin to build a character that doesn't depend on the world for its peace. So, every time frustration arises, tell yourself, "This is not an obstacle, this is training." And see how life ceases to be a battlefield and begins to be a field of development, where everything, absolutely everything, can be used to strengthen who you are becoming. Rule 16, stay right here, right now. Seneca once said that we suffer more in our imagination than we ever do in real life. This is one of the most important lessons from Stoicism about handling anger and frustration. Most of the time, our irritation doesn't come from what's happening right now. It comes from replaying things that already happened, worrying about what might happen, or wishing things had gone differently. Think about it. Someone upsets you yesterday, and today you're still thinking about it. Or you imagine someone might hurt you in the future, and you start stressing over something that hasn't even happened. The actual event might be small or forgotten by others, but you keep reliving it. That's where anger starts to grow. The Stoics taught that your real power lives in the present moment. You can't change the past, you can't control the future, but you can always choose what to think, where to focus, and how to act right now. Staying present is like dropping a heavy anchor in stormy water. It keeps you steady while emotions crash around you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, "Stay within the present." When you focus only on what's right in front of you, you stop feeding imaginary anger and start standing strong in what's real. Here's how to practice this every day. Notice when your thoughts drift. Anger usually sneaks in when your mind wanders to old hurts or future worries. The first step is catching it. Say to yourself, "I'm replaying yesterday," or "I'm imagining what could go wrong." That awareness is your first anchor. Then Bring your focus back to right now. Use your senses. Look at what's around you, listen to the sounds, feel your feet touching the ground, notice your breath. The present moment is peaceful. It doesn't insult you, hurt you, or disappoint you. Ask yourself, what can I do right now? Instead of sitting in anger, act on what's in your control. Maybe it's taking a breath, walking away, or simply choosing to stay calm. Action in the present moment weakens the power of imagined anger. Let go of the should-haves. So much of anger comes from expectations. They should have known better. This shouldn't have happened, as life should be fair. But Stoicism reminds us that reality doesn't bend to our wishes. Peace begins when we accept things as they are. Practice being present every day. Take a few minutes in the morning or at night to just breathe and focus on the now. Even 5 minutes of quiet awareness can train your mind to stay grounded instead of drifting to the past or the future. When you stay anchored in the moment, small annoyances lose their grip. A rude comment is just a comment. A mistake is just something that happened. The traffic, the delay, the mess, they're all neutral until your mind labels them as bad. Epictetus said, "Don't wish for things to happen as you want, but wish for them to happen as they do, and you will live well." That's what it means to live in the present, to accept life as it unfolds, to stop letting imaginary problems steal your calm, and to respond with reason instead of rage. Anger grows in the shadows of the past and the future. Peace lives in the light of the present. When you truly live here in this moment, nothing can shake you. The world can throw insults, delays, or challenges, but your peace stays firm. So next time anger rises, ask yourself, am I upset about what's real or what I'm imagining? Bring your attention back to now, and you'll see most of your anger melt away. Say this to yourself, I live in the present, and peace is my anchor. On this whole journey, we've explored the Stoic path to freedom from anger, learning to separate events from your judgments, to expect human flaws, to control your thoughts, to pause before reacting, to let go quickly, and to stay grounded in the present. These are timeless tools to protect your peace. The Stoics teach a simple but powerful truth. The world can't hurt you unless you give it permission. Every insult, delay, or setback is neutral until your mind gives it meaning. When you take charge of your thoughts, expectations, and reactions, you step out of emotional chaos and into calm understanding. Remember, anger steals from you. It takes away your joy, your focus, and your wisdom. But when you live by Stoic principles, you become untouchable. You stop handing your peace to others. You stay calm. You see every obstacle as a teacher. You let go fast. You root yourself in the present. And most of all, you choose what to think, what to feel, and how to act. True freedom isn't about having no problems. It's about mastering your inner world. Life will always bring challenges, but no storm can break a mind that stands firm in reason, patience, and calm. Start today. Use these lessons in small moments. Over time, the old habits of anger will fade. Your days will feel lighter, your mind clearer, your heart stronger. Say this final affirmation, I am untouchable, calm, and at peace.